This is the vTestify industry interview. My name's Ray Haddad, Director of Customer Success at vTestify. With me today is Reesa Parker. Hi, Reesa.
Hello, Ray. How are you?
I'm doing well, and I hope you are as well.
I am.
Reesa is the president of Revotext LLC, founder of GPS LLC, a freelance court reporting agency. Reesa is also a certified real-time reporter and a past president of the National Court Reporters Association. So, Reesa, just to kind of get this started and get a little bit of your background, how long have you been working in the court reporting industry?
February of this year was 43 years.
Well, congratulations. February is my birth month, uh, and I've only been here 30.
Okay.
So, what initially got you into court reporting?
Well, believe it or not, it was a picture in a magazine when I was in high school. When I was a junior, I competed in the UIL, University Interscholastic League, in typing. And so I had excelled in pen shorthand, Greg was shorthand at the time, and typing, and was actually ranked number 4 in the nation in typing. And so we had our typing contest for the championship in Topeka, Kansas, and I came in 4th. And I didn't think that was too bad for a kid from Iowa Park, Texas. So, I always had the aptitude for transferring content onto a piece of paper. And I think that just having that aptitude, and then one day I'm flipping through, an office type magazine at school, and I see a photograph of a court reporter. And I thought, well, that looks interesting. And I was interested in legal anyway, the legal space. And so I started looking into where I might be able to learn to become a court reporter. And that led me to Dallas, which was about 125 miles south of my hometown. And 3 days after I graduated from high school, I was in Dallas starting court reporting school.
That's a that's a really impressive journey. I mean, national championship typist being ranked 4th in the entire nation and, having that kind of direction and guidance from a young age, from high school, is something that I think a lot of people just don't have in this day and age.
Well, my husband, not my husband, my son fought me tooth and nail when I forced him to take a keyboarding class I think, in middle school. And he's so glad he did because he really knows his way around a keyboard now and doesn't have to hunt and peck. But yeah, it's the only profession I've known.
It's just really impressive. So, where was your first court reporting job?
Well, my first court reporting job was in Beaumont, Texas. I was recruited by an agency in Beaumont. And so I moved to Beaumont from Dallas and was there for about 9 months. And it just was not a good environment for me, the humidity, and it just caused some, health issues. And so always kept a cold or sinus infection. And so we decided that was not a good place for me to be. And I was really too far from home, according to my mother. And so I came back to Dallas, and my career has been in Dallas.
So, a little homesick, but it brought you back to Dallas, which is now your home.
Correct.
So, this is probably gonna span a period of time, but how did you go from that first court reporting job to becoming an NCRA president?
Well, I often say being president of NCRA meant that I wore the hat in the complaints department for a year. And so, the complaints stopped with the president. I like I said, court reporting has been my career, and I have expertise in it. And I just was active in association work. and someone said, you should become a director at NCRA on NCRA's board. And so I eventually became a director. I was originally, but prior to being a director, I was chair of the National Court Reporters Foundation, which is the charitable or philanthropic arm of the NCRA. And then from NCRF, I then went on the board of directors of NCRA, and then just ascended following my directorship to secretary treasurer, then vice president, president elect, and then president. And the best role, immediate past president.
So, you know, mul- multiple national recognition, championship typist when you're younger, NCRA presidency. I mean, you just had a lot going for you ever since you began. Um, Now that you own your own court reporting agency, GPS, um, how did you meet your partners? How did that get started? Oh,
Well, GPS is actually my second freelance court reporting agency. I had a freelance agency for 22 years and sold it in 2007. And then, but during that period, because I'm based in Dallas, so is Lisa Goucher, and so is Melissa Spivey. And so Lisa and I were industry competitors, but we were always friendly competitors, and a friendship grew from that. Melissa Spivey and I were co-workers at Merrill Corporation, and a friendship developed there. And Lisa and I, when she was bought out by her partner, she and I, talked from time to time, and she had a non-compete, and about 6 months before her non-compete expired, we started talking a little more frequently. And I said, gosh, I wish we could figure out a way to do something together. And she said, yes, I would love to do that. And I said, well, let's think about it. So what sort of started out as just kind of a wish out there in the air turned into, well, let's get serious about it, and make some concrete plans to move forward with that. So her non-compete expired September 1, and we were incorporated on September 4, right after Labor Day, and hit the ground running.
that's
And
amazing.
yeah, same with Melissa Spivey. We were trying to determine what are we going to call ourselves. And I said, gosh, if we had an S, we could be Goucher Parker S name. And I was like, oh, Melissa Spivey. I called Melissa and I was like, you want to throw down with us? And she said, oh my gosh, I would love to do that. And I said, good. So now we can be GPS. So, that acronym stuck.
And for those who might be searching for your company, I know that Google searching GPS can be difficult. Your website's gps.llc, is that right?
That's correct.
Perfect. So, how did you and your partners, how did GPS handle that 2020 transition, the coronavirus transition from everyone doing same room depositions, business as usual, to that fully remote era that we're now seeing?
Well, because I was president of Revolutionary Text, I had been president of RevoText since 2014, and we provide remote court reporters to the court system. So, in the courtroom, and I was not interested in starting a traditional court reporting agency again. Been there, done that. And so Lisa had as well. And I said, what we should do is start an agency where we use remote reporters, because that way we can get more resources on, in locations where we usually can't get coverage if we go remote with that. And so in September, we started trying to sell the concept. And I'd talked to clients before, and they're like, oh, that sounds really cool, but I really like to be in the same room with the witness. And so, and I understand you can save on travel costs and those sorts of expenses, but yeah, I don't think that's for me. And so we did that um, for several months. And then in March of 20, everybody went home and everybody's scrambling trying to figure out how they're going to continue to earn a living taking depositions or reporting depositions. And the great thing was we already have been doing it for 5 years. And so we just did a minor shift. We inked a deal, virtually inked a deal with vTestify to white label the platform. And we did that in November of 19. And so then just 4 short months thereafter, everybody got locked down and suddenly everybody's trying to figure out how are we going to conduct things remotely. And we said, hey, call us. We already know what to do. And it was a very smooth transition. The in-person things, everybody experienced cancellations like crazy, but we only had cancellations for probably a week. And people started calling saying, hey, I remember you were talking about that remote thing. And we had like, we're interested now. And so we were able to just hit the ground running and provide the service to our customers. And interestingly, I think when we would try to recruit reporters to function remotely for the court system, it took a special reporter to really want to work remotely because most of the reporters said, "Oh, I have to be in the same room with the witness or I have to be in the courtroom." And we said, "But remote really works." Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. And so, interestingly, now we still have reporters that say, "Oh, I only do remote work." And so that pendulum has swung completely the other direction, where most reporters would prefer to be remote and very few want to be in person.
It really is an interesting paradigm shift there, and that's something I've also heard across the country, that reporters love the remote work.
They do.
It makes a
They
lot of
do.
sense too.
It makes so much sense. And, we've had reporters say, why would I go in person when I could cover, two jobs in the same day if I don't have to travel anywhere? All I do is, change change the link, for the deposition. So it has been a tremendous paradigm shift.
It addresses, or at least helps to address, the court reporter shortage that some regions are experiencing. If, somebody who's doing one job a day is suddenly able to take on two, that's a huge impact. Now,
Look,
oh, keep going.
well, I was going to say, we recognized at Revotext because one of my partners in Revolutionary Text is Bill Weber, who's also a past president of NCRA. And we saw school closings. This was back in the early 2000s. And, it was concerning that we couldn't seem to get the schools to stay open or we couldn't get enrollment up and schools were closing. And I said, I'm not really sure. I'm not a statistician, but these numbers don't look good. And I think we're going to have to be doing something. And so Bill and I conferred, and he had the expertise in the courtroom that I did not possess, and the technology wasn't there for us to implement and execute our idea. But I said, why couldn't we put people remotely, and then we can cover more proceedings with people wherever they are, and we don't have to get them to that location. And so, we had a number of iterations and ended up, launching in 2014 with Revotext.
Having that forward-looking perspective is so critical, and I mean, the industry has benefited from that, from both you and Bill putting in that insight.
Yeah, well, thanks for that.